Alrighty guys, as you keep into the Dragon Ball Legends TOP guide video. This is going to be for season 91. Last season we ended off at rank 4184, securing that juicy 1000 CC. Hopefully you guys did too, right? Because we needed a Legends Fest is right around the corner. This season, so last season was incredibly difficult. We did use Regeneration, probably going to stick with that for a little bit here. I know I wanted to be more experimental with things, but just because of the fact that these seasons have definitely put things on their head a little bit, right? I think we're going to change teams next season depending on what's going to be thrown at us, because we got some more new fights coming up this way that we're going to go over in the pathing tips and tricks section of the video. So speaking of that, there will always be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get to where you need to go. And before we continue, huge shout out to doomgeta and the entire Discord for all the help and contributions that they have made towards these guide videos. If you want to show them some love and support, their Discord links will be linked in the description down below. One is going to be for the official Dragon Ball Legends Discord, and then one is going to be for doomgeta's personal Discord server. And just real quick, I do want to let you guys know that friendship rank is very important in this game mode. You do want your friendship rank at 10 for all of your main TOP characters, right? As you can see right here, if we filter this by friendship rank, all these units on the screen right here on this team that we used for last season, this is not going to be the current season team, they're all friendship rank 10. Right, so that's something that you do want to start building up. As you can see, the reason why it's so significant is because of the fact that these are the TOP stats right here, and then look at the regular stats, right? You can see there's a difference. There's an increase to all the stats for the TOP stats. That is directly because of your friendship rank. And then also make sure you guys do put on your TOP equips before entering your first fight, because once you enter that first fight, there's no going back unless you land on a yellow tile, which is never really advised. And to get those equipments, you just simply go into the rare metal shop. There's a TOP tab right here. This is going to be all your TOP related equipments. I can tell you right now, the gold equips are going to be the best. And then this one, I usually like to put this one on all of my units just to go ahead and increase their base health. All right, so first thing we're going to be talking about is our pathing right here. So on the left and the right hand side, you're going to see the part 1 video and the part 2 video that do come out later on in the season right here. There's a couple hard fights right here, right? So there's 4 in the first half and there's 3 in the second half. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a smooth ride. There's a bunch of like new stuff coming our way, right? So we do have to be concerned about that, and we're gonna highlight some of those specific tricky characters. And you can see that the pathing is also color coded. The color coding is not to make the map look pretty, it's simply to indicate your win streak bonus. As you can see, for the first half of the fight all the way up until fight 14, you're only getting 10 to 20% to your win percentage, right? But once you hit fight 15, you get 100%. Once you hit fight 24, it's 600%. So once you start seeing the colors come into play, like once you land on that orange where it starts turning orange, that's when you're going to start wanting to use your S tier and your Z tier characters, your high tiers. But if you're just in fights 1 through 10, for example, you're going to want to just use your strongest units, because it's not like those high tiers are going to have that much of an impact anyways. So the next thing we are looking at is the color wheel for the season. So I think this is really helpful, especially for those of you guys that don't have complete teams and may need replacements and stuff like that, and end up having to choose replacement units from the guides, from the image, the graphics, right? This is good to kind of point you in the direction of how many colors of whatever unit there are. For example, for this season specifically, there's 23 reds, 32 yellows, 36 purples, 34 greens, and 23 blues. Right, but also keep into consideration when you're looking at this graphic, you have to pay attention to the highlighted orange fights and the red fights. Those are going to be the difficult fights for the season. Obviously, the orange fights are going to be a little bit more tame compared to the straight up just red fights, right? For example, the Vegito fight. In the Vegito fight, there's 1 red, 1 yellow, 2 purples, and then 2 blues. Right, so you do want to take that in consideration. But then you also have other fights like the Super Saiyan 4 fight where there's just straight up 3 greens, right? So that's obviously indicative of you bringing in a relatively strong purple. And then next we have the cover change wheel. So this is really helpful in the fact that it tells you whether a strike team is going to be more favorable for the season or a blast based team is going to be more favorable for the season. As you can see right here, it's labeled, so strike, the cover change strikes and the nullification strikes. right? That's what either unit it's going to have, or a blast cover change slash blast arts nullification, or just a universal cover change, right? So for strike, there's a total of 18 strike cover changes and 2 strike nullification, for a grand total of 20. That is absolutely insane. Strike teams definitely have to fight an uphill battle. So this is definitely basically just me telling you, you're going to have an easier time if you're running a blast based team. Blast cover changes for the season is only going to be 4 of them, and then 2 nullification ones for a grand total of 6. But specifically, look at that Namek Saga fight, bro. There's 3 strike cover changes in that fight alone. I mean, thankfully we only fight that fight one time, but still, like, going into that as a strike team might be a nightmare. So now let's go over some of the fights, some of the like notable units that you do have to worry about for the season. So for this one, for example, this is the Battle of Gods. This one actually got nerfed, if I'm being real honest with you, because there's no longer the free-to-play Whis, or not the premium Whis used to be here, but now it's the free-to-play one. That free-to-play one doesn't have a stun. You used to have to worry about 2 stuns here. Now you only have to worry about the stun from this green Beerus, so he's going to be your high priority target, your first and foremost unit. Next, we do have the Super Saiyan 3 fight. I'm going to just tell you right now that this fight's not going to be difficult, but this guy does have a buff against Regeneration, the yellow Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then this guy potentially has a cover change. I believe it's just for the slot directly behind him. He has a cover change for special move arts, right? For example, if you get unlucky and you choose the wrong target with one of your turn 1 super attackers, he might come in and cover change for that one, so that's just something to consider. I usually do put out the layouts though, so you can see exactly where they're placed. So next is the Super Saiyan 4s. I think relatively what we always do here is we target, or high priority is going to be the Super Saiyan 4 yellow Goku, the Dragon Fist one, because he has a universal cover change. Then you do want to go for the tag units next, right? Just because of the fact that tag units are one of the most annoying things to deal with in this game mode specifically. And then a lot of you guys do like to go for Gogeta last, because he's going to be the tankiest unit of them all, and so it might be the most beneficial for you to target him with the Rising Rush at the end. So the next fight that this is one of the labeled difficult fights too. We have this Namek Saga fight. So right off rip, I'm going to tell you guys right now, there's 3 tag units here. This is going to be pretty, this might be one of the more difficult fights to deal with in the entire season. But you do, typically I do like going for the Birder and Jace first, because they're only going to tag out once they attack an unfavorable element. For example, the Jace, it starts off with Jace, so if he attacks Bootanks, for example, he's going to swap into the Birder, right? For the most part, my Bootanks is able to attack quicker, and I'm able to just super attack this guy before he even gets a chance to do that. Then you have the tag unit with Raccoon and Goldo. They just do it like, if you attack with the red, they're going to swap into the green. I'm pretty sure the Krillin does the same thing, the Gohan slash Krillin. And then this guy, he's like giving debuffs on turn 3 or something like that, dude. It's just insane right here. So yeah, so triple tag units, the Goldo, these two both have cover changes, strike cover changes. And then the Ginyu also has a strike cover change, and he's a revival unit too. So that is going to be your 6 slot unit. You, as a rule of thumb, we always go for the revival units last. Next, we do have LOE. I think we did come across this fight last season. So is it going to be the same rules essentially? Frost does stun you on turn 2. You can kill him before he ends up doing that, and then this red Frieza, he stuns you turn 1. Can't do anything about that unless you have someone that nullifies abnormal conditions. And then so I would go for the Frost first, and then this Cooler, that's going to be one of the biggest threats, and then last is going to be the revival Frieza, again because of the revival aspect. And then we have another Super Saiyan 3 fight right here. This one, your designated top priority unit is going to be the Super Saiyan 3 Goku right here. He has a lot of support and stuff for his team, plus he's just the most relevant unit, so he's going to have the highest stats on his team, right? And then also keep in mind that this Goku is going to stun you. He stuns you turn 1, nothing you can do about it, again, unless you have someone that cancels or nullifies abnormal conditions. And then for ending off the first half, you have the Vegeta fight. And I'm pretty sure we end off the second half of this fight too. So we could talk about this one a little bit right here. This one's going to be covered more in depth in the actual battle, the guide, right, the walkthrough video. But you do want to get this the fusing Goku and Vegeta before they actually get the chance to fuse, which is going to be on turn 3. So he's going to be a high priority unit right there, right? So this Ultra Vegeta right here, he nullifies 1 strike arts, and then he gets a bunch of buff effects after he he activates his green card, right? And then he debuffs you as well. He also has the 25% chance to double attack you, which is always very, very fun, right? And then this blue Vegito up here, he has the potential to double attack you as well. And then this Ultra Vegito, he is able to mitigate 1 blast arts. So that's the only nullification right there. He also does some damage to you. And then this purple Vegito, he has a strike cover change. Well, a ton of them have cover changes, right? But this one has a buff against regeneration. The only unit here that's complete and utter fodder is this purple Vegito right here, this blue one. The good thing about this fight though is that there's only 1 blast cover change, and it's this blue Vegito up here. So that's why blast teams can really thrive against this fight in particular. So next we have the Mohawks version 2. So high priority is going to be the 16, because he gets damage buffs when he falls below 70% HP. He also has a strike cover change. The Shin, or the Supreme Kai, he debuffs a unit on attack. He also has a strike cover change, and he has heals / support for a specific range. And then after that, basically everyone else you don't have to worry about them, but the Zamasu, you do go for him last because he debuffs you on hit. And then also too, another thing you have to consider is that you have to stay away from the bottom row, because Zamasu just defaults debuffing that bottom row pretty strongly. So now we have this other Frieza fight. I mean, yeah, it's LOE because it's all Frieza, but what you want to do here is, so this guy does have a blast mitigation, and once he does mitigate that 1 blast arts, he gets 100% to his special move gauge. That's okay though, because he attacks really slow, right? He has a really low key restore speed, so even if he does mitigate your first blast arts of the match, you're still going to be able to kill him before he even gets that off, theoretically, right? And then Revza is going to be your last attacked unit here because of the revival. So next we do have this Vegeta clan fight. So this is one of the OGs right here. So the Sword of Hope Trunks he's going to be one of your high priorities, strike cover for someone, and then the Sweater Trunks has a universal cover for someone. And then after those two, you get them out of the way, the tag unit, right? Because they have damage support. But the good thing about the tag unit is that even though they're a tag unit and their PvP variation does have cover changes, the ToP version does not have a cover change. And another thing to note that is the EX Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, he does debuff your middle row's blast damage received, so you do not want to be in that middle row right here. So next we have this GT fight. Honestly, this is a more tame GT fight though, so obviously you have tag units right there. That is going to be one of your high priorities just because it's a tag unit. They're a pretty strong unit. But also this Kid Goku right here. So the Spirit Bomb Kid Goku, he will stun you at the start of turn 2. I probably would go for him first and then the tag unit, depending on what my attack order is going to look like. And I think that's pretty much most of the scary fights that we just did go over. If there's any fights in here that I should have went over, let me know in the comment section down below, because there is fights on here, like for example, there is fights on here like that does include a new unit, like this one has Almond or Amond or whatever his name is. I don't think it's that significant considering the rest of the units are all fodder. Well, except probably for this Monray right here, he does have a cover change available to him. So the first thing we're going to be taking a look at is GT. This is going to be the strike variation, as you can tell. So pay attention to the graphic that is shown before each of these, because that's going to tell you what all the icons mean. I do need to update it though, because we've kind of slowly been switching off some of the core units over just into the healer role, which you're going to see by a little heart icon above them, right? But for this one, your core unit is going to be this baby Vegeta. He is going to be the main healer, and so sometimes you have a significant healer, sometimes you don't. Like sometimes you'll have a healer that only heals one time, maybe on turn 3 or 2, right? This guy's healing every single turn, so he's going to be the mainstay on all GT teams / Regeneration. He is a core unit. He's the definition of it. For your boost units, you do have this Red Rildo. Use him very sparingly, right? Only, like literally only when you need to, towards the end of the second half of the board, because he does not have any damage cut, unfortunately, but he can heal himself, right? So he can heal himself, and he's immune to stuns at least. But yeah, it's really rough. If you can see right here on the right hand side, there's legitimately 3 boost units for the strike version of this team. The other boost unit is going to be the Sin Shinron. This guy's actually really solid, right? He can be used for a bunch of support. He has damage cut, so he's going to be living, hopefully, especially alongside the Zenkai buffs from Baby Vegeta and the heals from Baby Vegeta as well. As you can see, there's a little bit of variation right here. Let's talk about some of these units. Tag unit, already great. You guys know a lot about them. This guy, he's getting 50% to his blue card every other fight. And then Gogeta 4 is just a beast. This guy, he's I mean, I think Super Baby 2 is better for this team, but if you don't have Super Baby 2 like me, you can use the Dragon Fist Goku. And then instead of that Nova Shenron, if you guys don't want to pile on the yellows, you can bring in this purple Hellfighter 17, because this guy's usually one of the mainstays as well. He is an incredible support unit. Now let's go ahead and talk about the Blast version of this team. So you actually have a little bit more options when it comes to boost units, but it's still struggling a little bit, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So core unit Baby is still going to remain here 100%, 120%, right? And then for your boost units, you actually have 3 S tiers. Remember, you want it to add up to 30%, so meaning a Z and an S, or 3 S's, right? That's usually how we go ahead and do it. And so this is going to be your Omega Shenron boost units right here. This guy, he's a range type, of course. For other units here for your boost, you also have this Super Saiyan Vegeta right here. This guy is, he has Zenkai stats, right? If you have a Zenkai unit as one of your S tiers or even your Z tiers, which is incredibly rare, that's always going to be worthwhile. But this guy actually has some decent debuffs for the enemy team. And then of course this guy's going to stay on here as a support type. He's supporting the entire board when he is into play. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the icon in the bottom right, you're going to see that icon on all these teams, either going to be a strike one or a blast one, depending on what version the team is. That's indicative of telling you to make sure all your units are set to blast strategy. Okay. So for example, if I put the Hellfighter 17 on here, he's automatically set to blast, right? But if you're running him on the strike team, you're gonna set him to strike, right? Okay, so that's gonna be how that works right there. Anyways, Trunks is great against Saiyans / hybrid Saiyans. He can be replaced by the LF Omega Shenron. The Majub, he has good self-sustain right here. He can be replaced by the Rage Shenron. And then 17, he's just going to be a really good damage dealer. He has a strike cover change, but it's very much so health gated. But he also eats a blast arts too. Alright, so next is Sagas from the movies. This is going to be the strike team. You only have one core unit here, and it is going to be Pan. She's not a healer, but she does offer the max base health HP Z ability, which is always huge, and she just has incredible support / debuffs. She pairs excellently with the Beast Gohan right here, and that Beast Gohan is going to be your bread and butter for damage. For other boost units, you have the Transforming Trunks right here. He's pretty, I think he specifically buffs hybrids, Vegeta Clan, and Super Saiyans, so he's going to be good for your hybrid units on here. And then for backup units, you have a Zenkai unit, which is always great with this Otherworld Goku. And then this Vegeta is also really beefy. He has 40% to his own strike damage, and then at the end of second turn, or no, not even a second turn, after receiving an attack, you restore your health by 7%. That's a lot. That is quite a bit of healing right there. That activates 2 times for a total of 14%. And then as you can see, there's the icon up there that indicates Tapion. And then again, this is a strike team. So what are you going to do with this Tapion? You're going to swap him over to strike right there, right? This he is a healer, but only for 1 unit. You can see right here that is his range, and he only restores health by 1%. So very small heals right there, right? And then same thing with this Piccolo. He also has the healing icon right here. He has a very small heal. He restores health of allies in range by 1%, and that activates 1 time, but it's going to be for this range right here. And if you don't have the Videl, you can go ahead and throw the Dragon Fist Goku on there. He did just recently get a Zenkai, so he's pretty good right now. Alright, so now we have Regeneration. This is the team I am going to be using right here. Right, so this is what I want you guys to do too. So this is... Alright, so next we have Regeneration. This is the team I'm going to be using right here. We do have Super Baby 2 as your core unit. Again, he's just going to be here at all times. He only heals to the left and to the right of him, so make sure you do have him properly sandwiched between 2 units, right? So for your boost units, you do have this Nail right here. I know a lot of you guys probably opt for the Cell a little bit more, but the Nail is in Z tier versus the S tier. Right, so again, you do want a total of that 30%, and then especially since we're going into S tier for this Piccolo right here, this guy's actually really good, and I have just noticed a grave error in the graphic right now, is that pink star should be red. This guy 100% should be a 14-star unit, so do not, please make sure this guy is 14 stars. You do want him. He's a free-to-play unit, but anyways, he does have debuffs available to him. He's also building up his super attack pretty quickly. For notable units on here, you do have Bootank's guaranteed super attack. You have this Piccolo over here, guaranteed super attack turn 3, while Bootank's is a turn 1. And then this guy's building up his super attack relatively quickly as well, because every time that he goes up against a Saiyan or Hybrid Saiyan, he's getting 10% to his own special move gauge. So that's a possible 40% a fight, right? If you do want to swap him out with the Omega, that's also viable as well, since he does have an incredible range of debuffs right there. And then I believe he gets 20% every fight to his special move gauge. So not as quick as the Trunks build up, but definitely still pretty good. And then personally, I do like Garlic Jr. I think Garlic Jr. is the best purple for regeneration. He is set to strike, right? We are going to be setting him over to blast. I think that's going to, even though he does want to be a strike unit very, very badly, because he does have this ability right here where on the 3rd turn he transforms, he gets 100% chance to follow up his strike arts with another strike art. So we're kind of handicapping him a little bit, but he's still the best purple for regeneration, even if he's set to blast. If you don't have that guy, then Purple Piccolo is going to be your next best bet. So next we have Eloy. Eloy is actually in an incredible position right here. So starting off with the core units, you have the Revival Frieza, also acts as a pseudo healer right here. You can see his range from his highlights, but to get even better grasp, oh, look at all those debuffs, by the way. A better grasp on it is he can either heal 2 to the left or 2 to the right. He's going to be restoring health for Lineage of Evil or Frieza Force by 2%, and that activates 2 times, right? Plus obviously he is a revival unit. Then you have Chilled right here. He's not a healer, but he does buff max base HP. Plus, not only is he a core unit, he's a boost unit. We already talked about this. When you have a boost unit who's also a core unit, who's also a Zenkai unit, like, that's, the stars have aligned, right? And then another Zenkai unit on backup right here, you do have this Metal Cooler. What is he set to? He's defaulted to strike. What is the icon portray? The blast. So you're going to go ahead and swap him over to the blast based strategy. You also have this guy over here too, the free to play cooler, very accessible for notable units. Literally all of them. They're all pretty good, if I'm being real honest with you. This guy gets a turn 1 stun. This guy gets a turn 1 stun. This guy gets a turn 1 stun, if I remember correctly. Yep, he does get a turn 1 stun. So triple stuns is insane. I genuinely believe that this is going to be the best team, my personal best team for the season. I think this is going to be a cakewalk for you guys if you guys run Eloy. And then you also have this Golden Frieza. This guy is able to get a super attack turn 1. Always keep him on a yellow tile so you can upgrade it to the ultimate arts, because he gets a bunch of debuffs inflicted once he gets the ultimate off. And if there's 2 or more enemies remaining on the 4th turn, he gets another 100% to his special move gauge and automatically turns it into the ultimate arts. So yeah, Eloy players, you guys are perfectly fine. So next we do have Frieza Force, which is very similar to the LOE team, right? Core unit, you do have the Revza. He's still on here. He's going to be able to heal your units, plus have the revival factor. And then you have Naval as one of your core units. This guy is also a healer, plus he supports the entire board right here, right? He's a must-have for Frieza Force, plus he's free to play. So immediately, just a 14-star units right there. That's always very, very nice. He doesn't buff max base HP, unfortunately. And then for your boost units, well, Naval is also a boost unit as well as the core unit, but you also have Orlin right here. This is a blast-based team, though. What is he set to? Put him over to blast. And then, so this guy, he's all right. He does have damage cut, which is, I guess, is the most important thing, but he's also building up special move gauge as long as there's 3 or more tag Frieza Force on the team or minions, which both of those kind of apply here, right? Because he also has Raspberry on backup right here. He's decent as well. He does have damage cut, 25% to damage receipt to damage cut right there, right? He does have damage cut minus 25%, which is probably the most important thing that you're looking for in a boost unit. And as for notable units on here, you do have, again, Frieza's turn 1 stun right here. The Golden Frieza is able to get turn 1 super attacks, keep him on a yellow tile, turn it into the ult, get all the debuffs inflicted, and then turn 4, if there's 2 enemies or more, you get another super attack that automatically turns into the ultimate. This Broly is giving blast-based debuffs to the enemy team, and this Frieza is going to give a turn 1 stun as well, so double stuns. Obviously, so Jace and Birder are on the graphic right there, because I believe they are high tier for this season. If you want to use them, 100% go for it. Tag units are very valuable on any team. And so now let's talk about hybrids right here. We only have the blast version of this team for this season, so these are going to be the main. So core unit is going to be Pan. This is a blast based team, by the way, as indicated by the blast icon. So Pan is going to provide amazing support slash debuffs, and she is going to be your max HP buffer for tag hybrid Saiyans. Again, blast based team, so you see this guy's defaulted to strike, you're putting him over to blast, right? And you're gonna do that for whatever, like this Gotenks as well, you're putting him over to blast. I'm 100% swapping out the Revival Gohan for the Ultra Gohan if you do have him. Revival Gohan 120% works on this team, but this guy is going to be getting a guaranteed blue card as long as he receives a strike guard that he mitigates, right? So he's very, very good. And as you can see, Gotenks now has a place on the team as well. He's already a range type. He's going to fit in here just fine. He actually takes the place of the tag Vegeta and Trunks now, is what it seems like. And then you have the Ultimate Gohan, also really good for your boost units. You have this Kid Gohan right here. He has damage cut, which is very important. And then you also have this Gotenks over here who does not, or he does have damage cut, but only for 3 turns. So on the 4th turn, you better hope he doesn't get jumped. Also, a little bit more into the Gotenks right here. He is he's getting 30% to his special move gauge, just if there's a regeneration or powerful opponent. I think Beast Gohan has a similar effect, so they're basically just powerful opponent busters at this point, right? And he also upgrades his special move arts, which is Beast Gohan does the same thing. And then he also has a 100% chance to follow up a strike or blast arts with another. So he can be placed on both strike and blast teams. Well, especially with the stat spread, it's pretty even. All right, so now we have the girls team. I'm gonna right off rip, you guys, this is going to be a hard team for you to run. Only use this team if you are very confident with your knowledge of ToP and if you're just aiming for high points right here, right? So this team, look, as you can see, there's so many Z tier boost units for this team, so many S tier boost units for this team. For the team that we have created right here, we have like a mixture of like you're going for points, but you're also trying to just survive, right? So Kale is going to be your core unit here. She doesn't have like she only heals twice by 2%. To some people, she might not be needed on the girls team, but I feel like every time I use or think about using a girls team, Kale's like the first thing that comes to mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and put her in the core unit slot. And then you also have this 18 up here is going to be a healer, not necessarily a core unit, but does have the healer role as indicated by her icon right there, right? This Bulma, the blue Bulma, is boost units, but has an interesting effect where she cancels all enemies buff effects at the start of turn 2, so she's pretty much a mainstay on here. This green 21 is able to basically get the stun off on turn 2, and she also has a cover rescue just in case. This Kale and Caulifla are pretty good for blast based teams. I've even seen her make appearance on Saiyan teams, right? That's how strong she is. But at the start of the first turn, she does get 30% to her special move gauge, so she's farming that up pretty quickly as well. And then for your boost units, you have this Vados on here, decently, like, not necessarily a new unit, but definitely not an old unit either. And same thing with this Kale right here as one of your boost units as well, so they're going to be able to survive. All right, so next we have the event exclusive squad right here. For your core units, you do have the Fui. This guy is going to be your max base health Z ability buffer right here. Plus, look at all that support, which is very, very nice. And then you have Naval as well. He's one of the core units on Frieza Force because he's able to give Frieza Force and event exclusive all this juicy support right here, including some heals as well. So he's going to be one of the mainstays on here. For boost unit, you have Monray, who does have a cover change. Plus, he has the damage cut, which is pretty important, right? And then he also gets 20% to his special move gauge if he gets below 50%, which is it's all right. But this is a blast based team, so what are you gonna do? Set him over to blast. And then you have this red 18 over here, the red Goku Black, both of those. And again, all these units should be 14 stars, right? 100%. You have this Broly right here giving blast based debuffs, this 18 giving some heals, and then this Goku just being one of the best supports for event exclusive, right? If not the best right here. He has a whole wide range right here, and he's buffing their special move gauge charge rate by 5%, which may not be the most significant thing in the world, but it probably does make a difference. Alright, so next we do have androids. Androids is a little bit rough this season as well. But for your healer units, you do have the Cell. This guy actually might break into core. listen, you don't always have to bring this guy in, but he might be definitely a contender for a core unit because he heals androids at the start of turn 3. It's a one-time heal, but he also buffs max base health. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think he should take the role of core units? And then we have the MVP 17, who provides amazing support for the team. Same thing with this Red 18 has pretty good debuffs. I believe she's inflicting all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 5% to blast damage received. Again, this is a blast-based team. Hellfighter 17 support, really good support there. And then you have the the green 21, who's able to use solar flare, all that good stuff, cover rescue. You know it's a sad day for androids when the Red Cell Jr. is in S tier and he's not in Z tier. In fact, there's no usable android units in Z tier, so it's a little rough. This guy though, for example, you want to set him over to blast. It's going to be this android 14 right here. This guy pretty much only gets his damage cut if he's on an android's team or there is at least 3 android allies. Alright, so next we do have universe reps. This is going to be the strike version, meaning immediately Kale is going to be strike based right here, right? So this one, Kale doesn't necessarily make the core unit role, but she is going to be a healer, so she's going to be healing up here. I did forget to put the icon on Calway as well because she does have a slight heal. She restores ally health by 1%, so definitely not a lot, but still deserving of the healer role, kind of, right? So she's also pretty good right there. As you can see, her range of support going off by the highlighted tiles. And you have Bergamo. He is going to be one of your core units. He does buff max base HP for the team, also being a zenkai buffer for Rival Universe, which doesn't really apply to anyone here, unfortunately, right? MUI could have got it, but he did not. But the MUI is going to be able to get the mitigation, right? He has a strike arts mitigation, plus he does damage with it as well. And then this guy has the UI gauge where he's not able to do damage with it, but just mitigates an attack. He is a range type, but his strike attack is way higher, or not way higher, but it is higher than his blast attack, right? So you're going to go ahead and pop him over to strike right here as well. This guy gets a guaranteed blue card turn 2, and then you have your boost units with Champa and the Topo. The Topo specifically is pretty good because he's buffing the crit rate for Rival Universe allies. And so now we have the blast version of the universe reps. So as indicated by the icon, make sure all your units are set to blast. This Bergamo, for example, is defaulted to strike, so set him over to blast. Kale again is right here as one of your healer units, one of the main healer units, right? And then you also have the Bergamo. This guy is going to be your core unit since he does buff the max HP for the team. And then boost unit's going to be Vados, and the see, look at that, Vados is defaulted to strike as well, so set her over to blast. And then you have the Kaba Zenkai unit in S tier. He's a must-have for the team. He's also going to be able to just inflict all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 20% to blast damage received. Plus he has some decent support for Rival Universe. You have the tag unit on here. Tag units are always incredibly strong. You have Jiren, turn 1 stun. You have this golden Frieza, turn 1 super attack, turn it into the ultimate by placing him on a yellow tile at all times. And if there's 2 or more allies remaining at the start of the 4th turn, you're going to get another guaranteed ultimate arts attack, which is huge. I think this version of the team is much stronger than the strike version. Alright, so next we're going to talk about the Taunthan / Sun family team. So for this one, I think you can do something like this, right? So you have the graphic, of course, so if you want to follow the graphic 100%, you can go ahead and follow the graphic. But right here on the left hand side, I do have pretty much the same thing. So you have Pan right here. You're going to set it over to strike because it's not a strike based team. You have the Beast Gohan, the bread and butter. You have your Taunthan as your core unit still, just because it's a Taunthan team. This guy is going to be always on the team for this. It is named after him. All units focus him down for turn 1, right? And then this guy is always going to be healing the Gohan. This guy isn't necessarily a core unit, but you do want heals for the Gohan since he's going to be taking the brunt force of most of that damage coming his way, right? And so he also doubles as a boost unit, which is why he's pretty much always on the team. And then you have this Gohan up here. He does default to blast because he's a range type, so set him over to strike. His stats should be, yeah, they're really similar, right? So you can go ahead and set him over to strike. And then instead of the Kaioken Goku, so the blue Kaioken Goku definitely is the better pick here, but the Goten is in S tier, right? So if we go ahead and set him over to strike, he's going to fit on the team. Not only is he going to fit on the team, but you also get a free slot up here. So you have your 3 S's already with those 3, right? With the Goku, the Goten, and then this red Goku over here. And by having this free slot, you can pretty much put whoever you want in here, anyone from the replacement list, and I think that has incredible value. Like for example, if you wanted to put the Ultra Gohan in there because you wanted an extra super attack for, or basically a strike mitigation, you can go ahead and do that, right? So that's, I think if you want to do something like that, that's also something that you can go ahead and look into. Even the God Goku, right? That God Goku gets a turn 1 super attack, doesn't need to proc anything to go ahead and get it. That's something that you can do. Alright, so now we have Strike Saiyans. This is going to be the last team, by the way. So Strike Saiyans, this team is basically all about just blowing up your opponent, right? You need all the help you can get with strike teams. So you do have double Ultra on here. So that is going to be an expensive investment if you do end up running this team. Obviously, there's a lot of replacements that you can choose from, as you can tell in the backup section right here. So if you need a replacement, for example, for the Vegito, right, you're going to go ahead and just look into replacements and look at, there's the Kid Goku all the way at the bottom right there. He can possibly just be placed on there instead, right, because he's still getting a super attack every other fight with that 50%. But Vegito is going to mitigate 1 strike arts, and while debuffing the enemy team, he does have the 25% chance to follow up with that strike arts, all that good stuff. This guy gets a guaranteed super attack on turn 3. This guy gets a guaranteed super attack on turn 2. You have this guy for heals and also a boost unit. You have the Gogeta is just Gogeta, and then you have this Zenkai unit up here. He also has a 25% chance, I believe, to follow up strike arts. Oh, he has a 20%, so not the 25, but the 20% chance to follow it up. And then backup units, you do have the Tora, and you do have this Super Saiyan Blue Goku. So next we have Blast Base Saiyan. So right off rip, Blast icon, you see that right there, right? So what are you gonna do with this guy? He defaults strike, set him over to blast right here. So that's one of your boost units. This Raditz, another one of your boosts, a Z tier boost unit, getting that 30% right there, right? And then another boost unit right here. So I mean, technically you can take off one of the boost units if you really wanted to, because this guy is one of the boost units. You only need 30% right here. We're getting the 20 plus the 2 10s, you're getting a total of 40. So if you wanted to throw out this guy and put another strong unit, you can. Having one of those free slots is beneficial, especially for seasons like this where it's definitely going to get hard, right? So you have this guy as one of your healers. You have this Broly, he's going to be giving blast base debuffs. You have the Nappa right here, revival mechanic. Many of you guys might not have the Nappa, so you can go ahead and swap him out from one of the units in the backup list. So for example, that free to play Super Saiyan 3 Goku just came out, you can put him right here, right? And then Bardock, I think so. Bardock is a good pick here. If you don't have Bardock, but you do have UI Goku, I think the Ultra UI Goku is a better pick here instead of the Bardock, just because that Ultra UI Goku has a guarantee, like 100% chance to follow up his blast arts with another blast arts. And then you have the UI Goku up here, has the UI mechanic, and then you have Raditz. Raditz gets 100% to his special move on turn 1. He attacks slow though, so it's going to be at the end of turn 1. You have to play around that. Final segment of the video, let's take a look at new characters / new Zenkais, and we only have a new Zenkai to go ahead and show off this week. It's going to be the Dabura. And so let's go ahead and display his maximum stats right here. His stats for ToP, this is at friendship rank 2, by the way. His blast attack is actually really high. That's pretty strong, right? So strike and blast attack both pretty decent. The defenses are good too, low key. He doesn't have any tags though. He has 1 tag, Weapon Wielder and Episode Majin Buu Saga. So I mean, already right off rip, he's kind of doomed. Unless they add like a demon tag, I don't know what they could do with this, honestly. He just has the strike, or I mean the blue card for the first ability. Start of the first turn, you activate your special action, which is his green card, 40% to own damage inflicted, 10% to damage cuts, and you apply the buff effect, nullify attribute downgrades 3 times himself, so he can't get stunned, and he nullifies attribute downgrades once to allies other than, to all allies? Yo, Loki, he might cook. Maybe we'll put him on Regeneration, because there's a lot of Majin Buu Sagas on there. Maybe we'll put him on there and see how he does next season. Experiments a little bit. I kind of want to see how that works. Is he having like the Garlic Jr. effect there? I don't know. According to Battle Turn, second turn, 10% to damage inflicted, can't be cancelled. Third turn, restores health by 3% and 10% to damage inflicted, can't be cancelled. Fourth turn, 10% to damage inflicted, cannot be cancelled. At the end of the first turn, you stun your enemy, can attack for 1 turn on strike or blast arts, inflicts bleed for 1 turn. On special move arts, you inflict stun for 1 turn, and after receiving an attack, you inflict that enemy with attribute downgrade plus 10%. Honestly, it looks kind of good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, he's gonna be zenkai buffing our boot tanks, right? Do you guys think we should try him? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that is going to wrap it up for this season's guide video. The ToP walkthrough part 1 will be coming out either tomorrow or on Monday. So definitely you have that to look forward to. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later!